Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of my new show, Talk Shows on Mute. Why that name of the show? Kind of based it off of a song, and I was also thinking about relating it to how we're going to have the conversations that not a lot of people are having, but that we need to have in this society. So feel free to follow, or pretty much where I got the inspiration was from some of these guys on YouTube that are having these long form discussions, and it's very meaningful, and so I'm kind of copying them, and I think it's a good format that it could be the solution to a lot of our problems as a society. So, try this with the people that you disagree with at home and in your community. It's called civil discourse. It still exists. That's what we're trying to push. So also feel free to comment, as you watch along and engage with us, and keep it peaceful. But today, my topic I chose was racism and the implications, or hypothetical ones, for racists. My guest is Kenny Stokes, former arena football star, potential future politician, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
He says it's definitely. Okay, it's confirmed. I'm getting the first interview with the potential politician, Kenny Stokes. He's a great guy and a dear friend. Kenny, thanks for coming. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So, is there anything you want to say before we get started? Just how have you been doing?
I've been good, man. Getting ready to move down to Wichita. So, getting ready to start that life up with my girlfriend and get it rolling, man. Get this adult life started.
All right. And yeah, I'm going to talk more with that, but good. I'm wishing him the best of luck with that. So we'll just jump right in. The first thing I felt like was needed to do at a foundational level, I don't know if you think this is important, but I think it's important to always be on the same page with what people, kind of the foundations of the society. So I've been seeing, it seems like racist and racism gets used a lot, and it's hurled around a lot as an insult. And I feel like it should be pretty well defined. And you'd think that we would all know, right? Like, we all think we at least know what a racist is, but
right.
I mean, pinpoint a definition down. Like, what's a racist or racism to you mean?
Well, to me, I'd have to say that racism is a form of oppression on another. Not necessarily meaning white on black, but it is a form of oppression on another. I believe that racism holds power. A lot of times you'll see, a black person call a white person racist, or sometimes you even see a white person call a black person racist. In my opinion, I do not believe black people can be racist.
Really?
I believe that we can be prejudiced.
Okay.
I believe that, we can definitely be prejudiced. But as a form of racist, as it pertains to this point in time, I do not think we can be racist. Racism holds power.
Okay.
So with that being said, in order to be a racist that most people think of, there's a lot of different avenues that we can take down that road, and somebody can twist to make it seem like, they're just for their race, and that they're, really pushing for their race's agenda, so on and so forth. But I believe that it comes down to power. Like, for instance, if you were to, use racial slurs towards another minority group, something LGBT, whatnot,
yeah,
your words have power to that group of people. Meaning, the words that you say as a white man in this country are very powerful. And a lot of the times people really don't understand how powerful the white community's words are. Meaning, if, like I said, if you were to use a racial slur,
yeah,
that racial slur could be taken from somebody else is heart wrenching. That racial slur.
But so people, everyone else besides white people, their words are less powerful?
I feel like their words don't have as much weight, only because when you look at history of this world, a lot of the conquerors of this world of different places were white. Not to say that blacks didn't have didn't have Africa, didn't have their kingdoms. The Asians didn't have imperialist China, things like that.
Well, I mean, you're saying not to say that, but to say white people were imperials and conquerors. I mean, but not to say those other people weren't. Like, what's your point there?
My point is that for thousands of years, the Caucasian man, woman, but specifically man, because women back then weren't doing too much, but man had control and had power of a lot of things in the world. Controlled a lot of the things and pushed a lot of the things that we see today in this world. For instance, we are both Christians. For instance, King James altered the whole Bible. Just that one man altered the whole Bible. So in that aspect, that is what I say when I say that Caucasian people, white people, whatever you want to call them, I call them vanilla people, but vanilla people, they have power in the words that they speak and the words that they say. They have tremendous influence in what they do and what they say. There are a lot of people running for political office that are of minority groups. But how is it that majority of it is white? How come we've only had one black president? There's not only been one black president.
Majority country is white, but no, I agree. It's probably it's probably higher per capita still. Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, it is majority country is still white. I mean, maybe not for long, but I mean, regardless, I think as of right now, it's like maybe just barely over 50%, or maybe close to 60%. I'm not really sure.
It's the influence. Bottom line of it is the influence. The people of the Caucasian human, I'm not
just white people.
White people.
Yeah.
Their words have influence. That's why when you see a lot of the times, when you see a white person standing up for oppression of minorities, a lot more people listen. A lot more people take heed to it. No, I know so. I've seen it firsthand in myself. You know what I mean? This is something that when you see, especially in this day and age, when you see, let's just use, say, like if a Republican, I'm gonna say Democrat. A lot of times when Democrats, when they talk about this, and I'm an independent voter, I'm an independent person, but at the end of the day, the Democrats have liked to use us as a talking point of minorities and a strong point of their races and things like that, because they know that it's weird, because it's like they know that in the black mind, if a white person is saying these things and backing us, to us as a people, we feel like, oh man, they see it. They're going to help us. That's why a lot of people vote Democrat. A lot of black people vote Democrat.
Well, I mean, traditionally, no, I mean, I do see what you're saying, and I think it makes sense, because traditionally, the Democratic Party is formed to help structure and protect for the lower class of the society, and in America, because of our history, and we all know history and things like that weren't fair racially. And so I think that was more primarily catering to like black and minority communities. Although I think that those things are shifting a lot as well. And I think there's also some harmful, maybe unintended, consequences too, of also having too much dependency on like a government like that's providing for you. But I mean, I don't know. I think that might be better off, say, for a different conversation. But so I don't know. I think, well, you had an interesting take on your definition of racism, because it included power, which I think one of these in here has as well. And one of these definitions I have, and then also you included that, in which I've heard this on the internet as well, that white people can't be racist. Or no, black people can't be racist. So is it just black people, or is it also Mexicans?
I feel like it's minority groups, whether you're Mexican, Hispanic. Let's say Hispanic, because I'm not going to generalize.
Let's say LGBTQ, can they be racist?
I don't think they can.
You don't think they could be racist against you?
You
don't think there could be a gay guy that doesn't like black people?
If a gay, this is another thing, and I don't want to sound like I'm judging anybody or trying to pick on anybody, but the LGBT community already has a tough time, whether you're white or black, living in this country. So when if a LGBT person were to come up to me and call me an N-word or something, my inner man wouldn't be too pissed off about it.
So you mean you choose when to be offended based on when someone calls
because
you
I understand because I understand and I see who that person is. Now, if you, like I'm saying, if a straight blue collared man came up to me, said something to me, it'd be a little different, because I know to the society his words are different to society than the LGBT person's
I'm saying
words.
It seems like you're giving his words more importance. In your own mind, you're letting his words own more real estate.
I'm not letting it. I'm just saying what it is, because society has already determined
that. Why don't you give other people the same amount of importance on their words?
No, it is important.
In your head, don't you think that everybody's voices are equal?
I would like to say I want everybody's voices to be equal. To an extent, you know what I'm saying? I want everybody's voices to be equal. I want everybody's voices to be heard. But what I'm saying is, to not just to me and that person, but to society, that person who isn't LGBT and the person who is LGBT, even them by themselves, with me out of the equation, society still holds their words at a different standard. That's why you have so many people who are LGBT committing suicide, doing things that, that hurt them, and that the words that are coming from people outside of that circle hurt them as well.
Right.
That's why they have so much hurt in the LGBT community. I'm not saying that they're not a happy people, whatnot like that. I don't want to sound like I'm, stereotyping, but a lot of what I've seen, the society does not hold their words as to a higher standard as the regular straight blue collar white American person. Like it's sad to say.
I feel like everyone should be held to the same account.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that's why I kind of feel like I want to have this conversation, because I didn't know that you were. I wasn't planning on you having that belief. That other people's words hold a greater extent, and that black people fundamentally, because I've heard this narrative too on social media and stuff, like that the black people actually can't be racist because I guess they hold the position of being the oppressed in the country.
Right. Like if I were to call you a cracker, bro, are you really gonna be like, oh my God, you just hurt my feelings?
I could be.
But okay, I forgot, people. I forgot. You white, I forgot, bro. You said
I'm saying,
I get you.
I'm saying I could be. I'm generally I'm not, but I'm saying also I know and I understand this aspect. I think it's something to be reconciled with, is that the words don't carry anything historically like the same for like the racial slurs for black people.
That's what I'm saying.
So I understand how that could be more hurtful, but at the same time, when do we flip the narrative, and when do we change the narrative to where we're holding everyone accountable the same? Like, do white people have to become victims of oppression, like for us to all of a sudden lose our mark as the holders of authority and power, quote unquote?
I don't think y'all have to go through oppression.
But I'm saying right now, you're saying my words hold more power,
right? And
also that no one could be a racist towards me. So I hold special. Right now, I have two things going for me. My words hold more power, and no one could be racist towards me. Under what circumstances would that ever change in the future?
When white people start to speak up for other minorities, when the basis of white people, not just a small group,
and how do you measure that?
Not just the LGBT, but as a whole.
So when white people as a whole speak up for minorities, then we'll be able to actually have other people be racist to us, and we also will lose our power.
No, we will lose racism. We will lose racism as a whole.
Because you're saying we're going to lose racism just because white people stick up for minorities?
It's not going to be just a complete wash of racism. You're still going to have some of those people that are just going to be ignorant and they're just going to be stupid for the rest of their...
That's what I believe too. I think racism will always exist in some form because there's always going to be, just like there's always going to be a hateful person out there that wants to seek revenge and hurt others. I'm a spiritual person, but also, I see things, try to see them in the realest ways possible. But I feel like there's always evil going to be in the world. You can't reconcile that. But I think that there's a narrative that a lot of people have bought into, and I think you may not realize it, but I kind of feel like you bought into this too a little bit. And it's not a narrative I'm a fan of necessarily, because I would be willing to compromise, or I'm willing to try to be as open and as viewing of where things are wrong and where things can be better. And that really is a really hard skill. I don't think that humans in general are very good at that. And the empathy trait, putting yourself in someone else's shoe. We say to do it all the time, but I think it's actually a lot harder than people realize.
It is.
I don't think a lot of people know exactly what a white person goes through in this world. I think they think somehow we have the magic keys to the whole world or whatever, and I just don't think that's the case. But I will admit, I think there's certain things that in experiences we don't go through as others. But I think there's this postmodernist narrative, part of that being the white privilege narrative and these other things, that I think it has it's fundamentally wrong on how it views the world, is my own opinion. But
I hear you.
And I think it tends to view it tends to oversimplify the view of the world to, and that's why most of the arguments on the left, because this narrative is predominantly taken over the left, it's easy and predictable to guess what they're going to say, because it's simple. It comes from the same playbook that, white people have ruled the world forever, and white people have always controlled everything. And I think that's fundamentally wrong. I mean, for one, just 1,000 years ago is a relatively short time for history and stuff. White people get called colonizers and these other things, which it doesn't hurt me or offend me that much, but I think I also think you could be offended to an extent if someone just wants to only see you as, you're a colonizer or an oppressor or whatever. And it's there's China, there's ancient China that was colonizing, and waging war. And it's fundamentally humans have been waging war and conquering other lands for as long as we've been on the planet.
But that's the difference though. No other group of people but white people have conquered more than what's outside of their own. When it comes to Africa, yes, you did have tribes in Africa that fought against different tribes, and you had that little, inner war thing going. Yes, I understand that. I get that.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the Greeks, when you talk about the Romans, no other group of people have conquered more in this world than them.
I mean, isn't that, I think a part of that is kind of just part of timing of how the world was becoming smaller because of advances in technology, right?
But that still doesn't negate the fact of how they were able to conquer and how they conquered. Nobody else has conquered this world.
And I'm not saying that it was right as well.
No, I get you.
But I'm saying it's not. I don't think it's solely just because of a particular trait that is reserved only for the white race or whatever. I think if things could have happened to be differently at a certain time in history, and for whatever reason, I don't necessarily know why. I don't know everything about history, but I know China was sailing and doing these things long time ago. The Chinese dynasty, probably 1,000 years before, Columbus was doing any of his stuff or whatever.
Right. But the Chinese Empire didn't have a stronghold on the world like the other empires of the world did. Let's just think about this. We can go back. Maybe I think. Don't even quote me. We'll just go back. We'll say 400 years. We ain't even got to go back 1,000 years, 500 years, 600 years. We ain't got to go back 1,000 years. Even then, the British. There are still islands on the western side of the world that are by British rule.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to say.
And most of those countries are of African descent. They are of African people. Jamaica, the Virgin Islands.
But all right, here's the thing, though.
So like no other country, no other group of people has that hold on anybody else.
All right, but here's the thing. So is that power or that way of attaining power, is that exclusive to white people?
Do you see any African nation with any other little territories anywhere else?
Not
other than the continent of Africa.
Yeah.
In their own country.
I mean, but I know you have the European ones, of course.
What?
Like when the imperialists and when they set out, and it was kind of like an arms race, to be honest. It was like an arms race to like have world power. But I mean, It was a consequence of the technology and those things coming out of that area at the time, and a consequence of globalism, the world becoming smaller because we were becoming better at knowing where we were going and mapping the world, and we were even still finding stuff that we had no idea was out there. But I feel like I don't think it was any one particular thing that's only particular to white people that made us able to do that. I think if by chance, if history happened to land on a different side of the coin, like if the Chinese dynasty had happened to last longer, that in their sailing dynasty had happened to push farther into history, like all those islands could be Chinese territories right now. And like, would the whole narrative of the whole world, in your view, like be completely different? Would like China would be like the evil oppressor, and like we're all of the oppressed, you know?
I mean, obviously it would, but it didn't play out like that. So even if we'll just use that, and say that China did what most of Europe did to the world. They would be the oppressor. It doesn't matter. It just so happened that white people learned how to colonize. They learned how to get what they wanted and make money off of it. Like that's when it's all said and done. It's about money. I'm not even gonna say it's just because that's how white people are.
Well, and I think it was about power as well. It's about
power.
It was about. It was an arms race for world domination essentially, and it's not like it was exclusive to the U.S. or to any one race. Like the thing. Think about this. When we're so busy looking in the past and trying to keep track and reconcile all of the wrongs and rights of the past 1,000 years, that we're going to be so busy focusing on how white people are the oppressors. China is about to, meantime, become like a super continent. They're already buying all this land in the Midwest, this agricultural land. And China is going to own the U.S. in 10 years because we're all busy looking back at the past 100 talking about how oppressed we were.
But it's something that you have to do. It's something that you have to do. Otherwise,
I agree with you that we need to do a better job of reconciling our past and our history,
because it can repeat itself.
No, I agree with that.
Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Colorado right now is voting on slavery laws. Like it's stuff like that. Like, how does that even get back to the floor to be voted on?
I never heard of that.
Man, I'm telling you, I was looking at my iPhone and I flipped all the way to the right, and it was like those little things, or like the little news tablets or whatever that shows up, and it was saying that Colorado is voting on. I can't remember word for word about it. I'm gonna have to look it up. Maybe we can get into it in another time. But pretty much looking up ways slavery can be back into the system.
And who was doing that?
Colorado, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
It's like, bro, it's stuff like that that when I say it has weight, it has power.
Bro, I'm saying this though. Slavery is still going on in Northern Africa.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. Slavery's
I mean, we're talking about how oppressed we are in America, bro, and it's going on. And you're talking about here, though.
Maybe it's going on in Africa, and I don't doubt it isn't. Maybe it's going on in China. I don't doubt it isn't. But when we're talking about the United States of America, and when we're talking about a piece of paper that has the Constitution written on it, that speaks of the laws that can and cannot happen, it cannot happen here. And if it does happen here,
it would never.
I'm just saying, this country is exempt from what's happened, and I hate when people bring that to the board. Well, different countries use slavery. Africa used slavery. No, Africa did not use slavery to the same extent that that the Americanized people used it to. Africa had kingdoms. Africa had systems set up to where people in that kingdom knew their role. They had a role to make the kingdom better. Yes, to everybody else, they might have looked like slaves, but to them, they were part of a kingdom. They were part of a bigger issue.
You know, there's white people that try to rationalize slavery in America like that too.
White people that tried to what you mean?
I said there's white people that try to rationalize like that slavery was a good and it was an alright thing in America here.
No, not here. Not here.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's just your narrative. I'm just saying.
No, my narrative is saying that when people say that, hey, there was slavery here, there was slavery there, why is it always that America gets the bad look on slavery? Yeah. Because those other kingdoms did not see it as slavery. They didn't call it slavery. They didn't call it that. They were kingdoms. So in those kingdoms, you have levels before you can get to the king and queen. Everybody knew what level they were on. Even if you were at the lowest level, you still had something to do for that kingdom to keep that kingdom at the top.
Well, I don't know enough about African history to hold a conversation.
But I mean, it is what it is. That's what I'm saying. And other countries did not see that. Like when we talk about the Egyptians, some pharaohs, yes, they did have slaves, but some pharaohs, they weren't slaves. They were people that were drafted in to say, hey, we need you to work for this empire, for this kingdom, so we can get things going and we can get things built and we can move on forward with our kingdom.
Bro, I'm sure the people working didn't think of it that way.
No, they were getting paid wages. There are pharaohs that had gotten overthrown because they did not pay their workers wages.
Well, I don't know enough to argue one way or another.
All I'm saying, I'm trying to get to the point is, United States did never do that. They didn't pay the slaves here. They didn't do anything like that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to. I don't know. I'm not trying to fight on the.
I feel you. No,
play devil's advocate for slavery. I think my original point was just addressing like the whole narrative. And this is the postmodernist narrative. You look at the world through this certain scope that it's all oppressor and oppressed, and it's like, and you know it plays out in every narrative that's going on today. It's like even you could take it to women's rights, or you can take it to like the racial things that we have going on in America too, but. I mean, and it's not to say that I don't feel like there's a place for reconciliation and like looking back at these things. I think we do need to do a better job of that.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's a flawed way to just grab a whole, like to look at life through that lens, I guess is my main point.
I mean, it's to me it's a double-edged sword when you really think about it, because to be honest, we can look at Kansas City. We can just look at Kansas City. If you look at Troost on the Missouri side, okay, if you look at Troost, you will see historically one side. It's the cultures are divided by a street.
Yeah.
Man. By a street.
Yeah.
Still to this day, it looks this. I guess things are modernized.
Well, yeah, Troost is actually a street they're trying to gentrify right now.
You see what I'm saying? They're just now trying to do that, trying to make it look like you can't see which way or the other. It's things like when we talk about when we talk about redlining, when we talk about going back to your first point of my definition of racism and things like that, it's power, and especially when it's power when it has to do with things that are that small.
Okay, so I got a question for you then. So all of the people who are calling, looking at the world through this lens about, white people are the evil oppressors and, we need to sit down and let minorities and other minority groups come take power. Is it not about giving them power? And then let's say minorities have majority power in this country.
Mm-hmm.
What are they gonna do with it? And I'm not saying like to question your motives, but I'm saying there's a point where if somebody is so power hungry, I mean, and I don't view the world through that. I view it as a hierarchy of competence, and I think that there is tyranny and things that need to be reconciled. I think any hierarchy of competence is going to lean towards tyranny. So people tend to cheat the system, and those people need to be caught and they need to be exposed. And that's how capitalism and a hierarchy of competence will work. Like 2008, all those guys that cheated and made off with bonuses, those guys should have been held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but the thing is that will never happen. Because there is that...
it can happen, but you need integrity of the individual.
But who has that power of integrity? But who has that power of integrity as a whole, though? When you really sit back and look at it...
I don't think there's any one group that holds any particular trait.
It is.
That is the definition of racism in a form itself, that you keep saying, this group holds this and this holds that, and it's like... I'm saying fundamentally, Kenny, I'm saying this. I don't think me and you are any different on any fundamental level.
We're not. And you know what? When it comes to
I don't think that you're not capable. I don't think that I'm not capable of being overcome with greed and power and lust and envy. I'm capable of being overcome with all of those, and I believe you are too. And I don't think me being white makes me more prone to be that way, and I don't think you being black makes you less or more. I think that in itself is a form of racism, and that's the whole irony of the whole thing. The whole left's whole thing of oppress and breaking people into groups is it's actually perpetuating a hidden racism in a way that it's like getting slid right under the cover, man. It's like Martin Luther King said, bro. It's like we're going to judge people on the content of their character and not the color of their skin. And everybody has the same capability to either be evil or good. There's a quote I really like. It's one of my favorite quotes because I think it summarizes this really good, but the line between good and evil runs down the middle of every man's heart.
Mm-hmm. You're a doggone.
And I think that's it, man. I think what, from Chinese people to Americans to black and white to Mexicans, whatever. I don't care who you are. I think we're all equal. We're all capable of being good or bad people, and I think it's on an individual level that you have to, search your own soul. Do your own soul searching and really find out who you are. And that's what I don't like about people throwing racist or homophobe or all this stuff, because the minority groups are immobilized by this doctrine of postmodernism and stuff. They can throw all this stuff, and now all of a sudden it without any evidence or anything, it holds merit all of a sudden. And if you don't think that,
I don't think there's no evidence of it. I'm not going to go as far as to say there's no evidence of it, because there obviously is evidence of it in order for people to feel that way. It's a case that, and I'm gonna have to disagree with you when I say like it's a form of the left's way of reversing the racism finger, because when I look at it, it's like this, my dude. And I'm not saying this like it's like how you explained it. I can't remember word for word. But what I'm saying is this. If the basis of white America would just sit down, take the time to see where minority America, not just black, not just LGBT, but minority America, LGBT, Hispanic, black, people of color, whatever you want to group it, the minority,
All right.
step back and actually see how we live, actually see
Bro,
what
all right,
we go through.
here's the thing, though. Here's what I'm going to say about that.
That's what's going to change America.
No, here's what I'm going to say.
Because y'all have the power to change that.
All right, listen to your...
help change
No, listen to the idea about... Your idea of getting things changed lies completely outside of yourself.
No.
From what you just said, bro.
Before you started going, I said, not completely, but it will help. It is up to us as a minority group. It is up to black people as when it comes to being in the household, fathers being in the household, things like that, raising your children up as ways should go and the ways that will not depart. That thing, yes, that definitely comes from us. There has to be a part of self-accountability to anything in life. Yes, I
agree with you. I think white people have to hold themselves accountable too.
White people have to see that and help push that. There are things
push for equality.
Right. There are things in this world that I don't know how, because I haven't been alive that long. But there are things in this world that the white people have had that blacks have never.
No, I will agree with you. So
there is a gap. You got to look at it like this. When I say all the things that I mean, I'm taking it from a standpoint of there is a gap in between us. Okay, in that gap, majority of white people, white households, they have a head start on us. So it's kind of like a race, dude. When you listen, just listen.
All right,
it's kind of like a race. Okay, we're all wanting to get to the same thing in life, pursuit of happiness, blah blah, all the good stuff. We want the good stuff in life, but that race has already started for white people, and they are already ahead of us.
I feel like me and you, we had a conversation similar to this the last time.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's like between me and you, we both kind of have similar backgrounds.
And I'm I'm lucky. When you think about
I'm saying
I'm lucky to have.
So you're saying every successful or black person who is maybe not struggling, not below the poverty line, being successful in life, has made a great life for themselves. All of them are lucky. You completely discount any of their hard work, any of the work their parents did to raise them.
No. That's when I say that's lucky. What I mean is that they had good parents to raise them. It's lucky for people in our culture to have had to have gotten the opportunity to go to good schools like Olathe the South, Olathe the East, things like that. Yeah. Because when you look across state line and you go over there and you look at Northeast High School, you really see the difference in education systems. Yeah. You really see the difference to where me and you were lucky enough to live out here and get the education that we've gone to and get the resources that we've had. Not every minority group has that.
I agree with that.
The majority of the white culture has that in their schools, bro. When you look at private schools, when you look at private schools, there are some black private schools, and I'm not going to say that they're not. There are some black charter schools. But when you look at the basis of majority private schools in this city alone, what is the base of the kids? What race is the base of the kids?
I have no idea.
Bro, you don't have to think about it. White, when you think of St.
Thomas, I don't know. I can think of there's charter schools and stuff too. Say it's like this. And I'm not saying for the same reasons, bro. I know what you're saying. The white kids got money to spend on their high school. Like
I'm not going to say that.
No, the other kids spend on college. But listen, and there's charter schools too in Missouri because, their high schools are like unaccredited. So
schools are shutting down,
and it's not for the same reason.
Those schools are shutting down over here.
But no, I think there is something to be said about, you have differences in income and neighborhoods and all of these things, and I think there is a problem that becomes systemic and it tends to be a circular effect or whatever, where it's like, you struggle, like your chances of, making it out of that neighborhood or something aren't as great,
right.
And I think it's kind of like that in general, but so it's really hard when looking at, maybe if the majority of black people, and I don't know if that's right or not, I have no idea, I don't even think it is, but maybe if the majority of black people lived whatever, like in a hood or whatever below the poverty line in America. I think that's not right. And I also think that, it's a complicated problem that there's going to be multiple factors that play into that. And I'm not saying that racism or the structure of society as it is right now didn't have anything to play with it. And I think that's those are examples of the way in which that structure I was describing earlier can become corrupted. And I think it needs those people, anyone who's done wrong, it needs to be corrected. And the people who are doing wrong and perpetuating bad things and just generally bad or evil people even, they need to be exposed and they need to be getting rid of. And that's a lot easier said than done. But I think to just take that and just throw it into this narrative that, well, it's white people, they're conquerors and they're racist and they're evil and they're just going to always try and put you down. I don't think that's the right narrative. I don't even think it's the right narrative. I don't think it's healthy.
I don't like how you put that, because I don't want to corral all white people in that category. What I'm saying is we have some white people that are in power, that are in political power, that are in political offices, that have that influence, that have that. That's more of what I'm talking about. When I say when we'll use, oh man, this is gonna be cliche, but we'll use President Trump as an example.
All right.
When President Trump speaks, people listen. If you look at his campaign till now, we have not had a president say the things that he has said. We have not had a president influence, maybe not personally influence, but have influence on the way society has gone ever in our history. The only person that I can think of that has had that great of an influence on people to really get people to be like, ugh, is Adolf Hitler, bro. Adolf Hitler was probably the great, and I'm not saying this like I agree with him or I praise the man, but when you look at it, Adolf Hitler was the greatest leader ever. He got people to see from his point of view, to see from his eyes, and have the same thoughts, have the same wants he has. Now, when you look at President Trump, I'm not saying that he is Hitler. I'm not saying anything like that. But what I'm saying is both of their words and how they articulate things, how they say things, have weight and they have power. They have a way of affecting people that gets people to do certain things, whether that person told them to directly do that or not. In that person's brain, the way society works as a human, you can be told something and that person never tell you to do that. You see what I'm saying? It can be ways that words influence
You're
people.
losing me because
Look,
I agree with you about Trump, man. But now you're going on to say again that someone can say something and I'll secretly infer to pull this meaning out and maybe I'll go act upon it.
But look,
bro, I believe there's so much more power that you have over your own life that we all have over our own lives that we can control, bro. I'm not gonna leave it up to like an outside force.
You're missing the whole point of what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you don't have power to control your own destiny. I'm not saying that because you do. I'm a product of it. But what I am saying is that it is harder for minority groups to obtain that than that.
To obtain what?
Just listen. To obtain that status in life. Because listen,
like president or what?
No, not
what are you talking about? Just having the power? Not many people become president, bro. Not many people ever get the voice of a president.
Not president. I'm not talking just about president.
So you're saying white people in general have that power on their voice?
Listen, my dude, listen. Having a power with your voice of influence. Having something that a lot of the people will sit and listen to. Why do you think it's like that? Why do you think Kanye got so many people to do that? It's his power. It's his way he says things. It's the way he does
it. So there's certain people that have influence and power. It's not just white people.
Guess what? That's not every group. That's not everybody in the minority group. Why do you think the NFL
Bro,
players
listen to this,
because
dude.
they are speaking for someone who doesn't have a voice greater than theirs, who doesn't have a pedestal that is higher than theirs. There are some people who are blessed, minorities that are blessed with that pedestal, but not everyone does. Now, if you went out and you started a group here in Olathe that was like, hey man, we need to start going to the hoods, we need to start teaching people finance business, we need to start teaching people how to grow their homes, how to do things like that, that stuff would catch on, right? And black people would appreciate that. Black people would say, okay, they helping us get to where they're at.
I'm not opposed to doing that. I'm not actually opposed to doing that. I would actually be interested in doing something like that.
That's the whole thing of what I'm trying to say. Y'all have that weight to do that.
But I'm also saying, bro, black people have that power too. You're not giving them enough credit.
False. You're not going to see, unless that person, that black person that you're talking about, or that person, minority person that you're talking about, is an established millionaire, like a Damon dude from Shark Tank.
You don't have to be a millionaire to make a difference.
Just listen to me, bro. Just listen to me. If you're not a person that has that weight behind you, okay, especially when it comes to people like the guy off of Shark Tank. He's a millionaire, made FUBU, made a whole bunch of different things. He owns a whole bunch of businesses. The average black person is not going to walk into a white neighborhood and say, hey, do y'all want help on financial business? Do y'all want help on how to grow your business? Do you want help on how to become a millionaire? No. The only minorities that are going to do that are the minorities that are already there. But if you yourself were to walk into a black or minority neighborhood and say, hey, do y'all dress just like this, and walk into that neighborhood and say, hey, man, do y'all want financial business help, man? I can tell y'all how to make $1 million in 10 years.
Bro,
if y'all listen to what I have to say. But that's all you have to say, and I guarantee you will get at least 5 black people to say, okay, look at this cat.
Maybe because there's 5 suckers wherever you go, no matter what, bro. Like,
you can say that. You can say that, but I'm telling you, the difference is you're not going to get that in a white neighborhood from a minority person. No, you won't. If you walk straight over here to Nottingham, or if you walk over here to one of these nicer neighborhoods in Olathe, as me as a black man, no, just listen. Me as a black man, see what I mean? See what you just said. The ability for you to make a joke about that, bro.
What?
Black people can't do that. Black people can't swindle people out of their money because majority white people aren't going to let it get to that point.
Bro, you right now, I feel like you're trying to convince me about
how I'm not trying to convince
black
you.
people
I'm not, no, we don't, that's not how much little power we have. It's about the words that we have don't have enough power to influence the rest of society. That's all I'm saying. When it comes to a sense of when white people speak, majority people listen. And I get it that there's more white people in this country than black. I understand that. But if there were more white people willing to stand up for blacks and minorities in this country, blacks and minorities would appreciate that. We wouldn't have a problem with a lot of the things of the Caucasian race in this country. Think it like this: if slavery would have never happened, if the Jim Crow would have never happened, black people would have never had a reason to look at ways in life that we look at now. Today, we wouldn't have a reason. I don't think if that whole situation ever happened, if it never happened, I don't think black people would be so second guessing to white people.
Just because you can make a certain narrative also doesn't mean that you should use it, you know?
What do you mean?
I mean, just because you can fabricate a narrative that might be fundamentally wrong but still yet believable doesn't mean you should just go and view the world through it.
It's not wrong, bro. This systematic
the view that white people own the world and we're the oppressors and everyone else is oppressed.
But check it like this.
I think that's wrong.
What black bank do you know? What black hospital do you know? What black school system, education system do you know? None. What is it all run by? Banks, white people, hospitals, white people, school system, white people. It's not us making anything up. It's us seeing what is actually laid out already. The Rothschilds are my bad. Rothschilds are a white bank family. They own damn near all the banks in the world. Okay.
No,
just that in itself can show where the line
but I'm
divides
saying you're going to use
world.
the fact that white people own a conglomerate of businesses at the top. Right. And maybe even so, they own and are CEOs, and maybe the board and the chair, all the people, even on all the top branches, are majority white or whatever. You're gonna let that fact alone be the reason that there couldn't be any black businesses, or there couldn't be a black owned hospital or whatever.
History has shown us that blacks have tried to do that. Black Wall Street in Tulsa was the biggest, best black community business system that this country has ever known. And guess what? You will never know that.
No, I know about it.
Yeah, you may know, but the basis of white people will never know that. The only other people that I knew about that were getting taught that in their school systems was when I went down to Bacone and was going to school at Bacone, and the white kids from Oklahoma knew about it. No other person I have ever met can tell me about Black Wall Street. Why? Because only reason why it's being taught in schools in Oklahoma is because it happened in Oklahoma. Yeah. Kansas does not teach about Black Wall Street. Mississippi does not teach about Black Wall Street. Missouri, Colorado, nowhere other than Oklahoma teaches about that. And if you were to take a black African American class in college, you will probably learn that. But it's that type of thing, bro, that the school that does not help the minority people. Because if we were to see more things like that, we would have a better outcome of black people owned businesses. Seeing that, man, blacks can really do this thing. We're not being taught this thing in schools. Black schools aren't being taught financial programs. There was a financial education program at East. But here they do. Olathe South has a financial teacher. Olathe East has a financial teacher.
I don't
all the Olathe. You just didn't take that class. No, it was an elective that you chose to. But the bottom point is that class was there if you wanted to take it. Black schools in Kansas City, Northeast, things like that, they don't have financial ed classes.
Here's the way I think of it, though. Here's the way I look at it, though. And, I'm willing to be wrong, and I'm willing to learn. Like I said at the very beginning, I think the whole idea of being empathetic, being truly able to put yourself in someone else's shoes is truly harder than we really think it is as humans. So, I'm willing to understand I'm not fully in the shoes of a black man in America. I'm not going to get everything. So I'm willing to know that I'm wrong, but the way I see it...
We're not going to say that you're wrong.
But I'm saying here's the way. One way is that, yes, there's been terrible things that have happened in American history that white people were a part of. Pretty much from top to bottom, and there's still things going on today. And I feel like you try to make progress, and again, like I think you want to see that, you want to have hope and see that on other people that they're willing to help, and they're willing to be there, and I do believe in that. And I think, well, here, I'll try not to get off on a tangent. I'll try to stick to what I was saying, but I think that because bad things have happened and have been perpetuated in the past, maybe it's just an idea of trying to gain trust again among people. But I think it's that the idea that somehow it's like this idea that it's somehow this unique way of this unique thing to white people, and that it's like, inherent that they're evil and power hungry, and it's like, yeah, I know you may not be saying this.
Yeah, I don't agree with that as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the narrative has been kind of shifting that way. Like, I mean, if you look at the way they're looking at the world now, like these activist social justice groups, right? It's like I'm public enemy number one to these people. I'm a straight white male, man. It's like that's at the top of their list. If there's anything that symbolizes the corruption of the white male patriarchy and whatnot, it's going to be me. But I don't fundamentally believe in that narrative. But I'm also, I'm not. I don't want that to make me a racist or whatever, and that's why I feel like I know we're not really on the topic of my video, but that was the fundamental reason why I wanted to have a video talking about those things, because I think it's like we need to define racism, and then we need to decide truly what are the implications for the true racist, because like I said, if you're going to fix a hierarchy of competence, which I hope is what we truly have, and it's not a complete tyranny by this point, but if you're going to fix a hierarchy of competence, when you find these people, the corrupt people, the cheaters, the liars, the frauders, you're gonna need. There needs to be a way to find them, expose them, and get them out of the system.
Right.
And to be held accountable. But right now, the rules are so gray, and it's like we don't even know I don't even know what a racist is anymore, because I guess it's anyone that disagrees with the left, apparently, and anyone that voted for Trump, like. And it's like that's a lot of weight to carry. That's
not what I call a racist.
No, I don't either. But I'm saying, you see how the words just get misused, and it's like if we're going to take this problem serious, that there is serious systematic inequality, and racism is a part of it, which I do believe is at least the case in our police system. I think there's major reform to be done there. I think there is a lot of progress. It's going to take both sides. It's going to be maybe getting rid of the people at the very top. I don't know how to get that done, but I believe that it's going to be a major reform all across the board. But
it's the way to get that done is what I've been telling you the whole time. The people in power, who are majority white people, need to start speaking up.
Okay, so I got a question. No, I shouldn't play that game, but I mean,
no, dog.
I don't want to. I feel like I'm being an antagonist, but I'm saying if it's like about people in power and the president's the very top, it's like under Obama, like a lot of bad things were happening within our police forces and stuff too. So it's like I think the problem is more complicated than just like a few.
But see, when you bring the police and just regular people, those are two different things. The police problem has been happening since this country was started.
Yeah, no,
the police thing has been going on. The only difference is now, and between now and then, is that people have cameras on their phones and anything can be recorded.
No,
when it comes to the people, that's another thing. When you have Trump rallies, when he's saying, "Oh, well, we used to do back in the day. We used to take him out in the back and beat his ass, or beat. Well, I can't remember word for word, or beat him up, or give him a whooping, whatever." Blah, 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 blah. You have people that's like looking at the president like, "Oh, snap! The president said that. Cool. Now I can go say that."
I mean, but I'm saying no. I get what you're saying, and I don't think that I don't ever want to. I don't like to at least have to try to defend the president, because he's far from our ideal president. But as far as you could go,
right?
I would say he's as far as you could go from our ideal candidate for president. But I'd say he was tied for dead last with Hillary Clinton. But so I feel like that's why we were halfway here. But that's my own personal opinion. But anyways, but I guess I'm just saying I'm for like taking care of the bottom, like you say. I think there's a step, and I think this is the part where it comes full circle in a way. Maybe that's not the right phrase, but before you can go take care of someone else, you have to take care of yourself.
Right.
Right? And so, and I think that you have to have a good worldview, and you have to be able to, handle all of your own problems, put food on the plate for your own kids, and hopefully you know how to navigate the world and view the world you can find a competence hierarchy and work your way some way up it. Learning your skill or your trade and developing your traits and stuff. Like I don't think you can be like not wanting to do anything for yourself. And I'm not trying to say this characterizes like everyone at the bottom of the pyramid of society or whatever, the lower class. But I don't think you can sit there, and not be doing anything for yourself, or maybe not even knowing how to, and just think like everyone is supposed to like the world's gonna come and manifest itself around you.
Right.
You
get
know,
I get what you're saying, but that's insanity. That's insanity to think that. What I'm saying is that, like I said, we'll do what you just finished up. We'll go back to that gap. We'll say the people at the bottom, not just black people, but people at the bottom.
Yeah.
Period. Right. There's a gap between people at the bottom and people at the top. What
Yeah,
I am
big
saying
gap.
is for the people at the top to trickle down those techniques, to trickle down those teachings to the people to the bottom, so that they can do for their own. I'm not saying it's up to the people at the top to have to do for to people at the bottom. No, that's insanity.
I mean, here's the thing though. It's like, all right, Jeff Bezos, someone at the very top. I mean, there's not a way to really teach, the millions of people down here. There's only one Jeff Bezos. There's millions of people down here, and he probably does have enough money to give each of these people like $100,000 or something. But granted, there's not a way for him to teach all of these people to be like. There's only one Amazon. There's not enough room for 1,000 Amazons at the top or whatever.
Right.
Or 1,000 Microsofts, or there can't be 1,000 Oprahs. It's like, this is the very top of the hierarchy for a reason. Like, these people are select and few, and I do agree. Like, you can be moving them up, but I think it should be based upon. I think it should be, if this is a competence hierarchy, which first that's what it needs to be first. So, and that's what I think it was all intended to be. Like, most companies and most jobs, like, hopefully if it's a good company, like, the more competent you become at becoming a plumber, the more they move you up and pay you, right? The harder jobs you get, the more money you make, the more you're able to provide for your family. It's not like you just show up and it's like, well, we're not going to learn anything because like we're all going to just get paid the same anyways, and like we all know the same anyways. So it's like there's some way here where the more competent people are going to have to work to navigate their way up, and I think it's like that in general in society. And then you have certain cases where there are certain people that are going to need to be cared for by the community. And I say the community too because I don't think this is the place for the government.
No.
Like, I don't like big social welfare programs.
No.
I think that should be a job of the church and different things like that. But that truly is a different conversation because they're trying to take God completely out of society.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's they're trying to take God completely out of everything. So, I don't know. I guess I don't know how far we made it. I feel like we should wrap it up.
We made it good enough. I know we probably rambled off on different branches of the tree, but at the end of the day, that's just my opinion. That's just my look on it. I believe that it isn't just up to white people to make the lives of minorities better. No, because minorities have to start with ourselves first.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that we get our families in check. We have to make sure that we raise our kids up the right way. The fathers need to start being in the home more, and we need to start raising up our children in the way they should go. But at the same time, it is up for the people who are already ahead of us in that race to start speaking up for us back here, saying that, hey, wait a minute, they caught a cramp in their leg. We need to hold up for a second.
It'd be nice
help that person get to where we're going, because we all want the same things in life. We all want to be happy. We all want to be comfortable in life, financially, emotionally, spiritually, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, like I'm telling you, man, you'll start to see it as life goes on, and when you may not see it now. And it took me a while to see it because I wasn't one that believed in that narrative. But now that I'm seeing it, white people have a lot of weight in this country, bro, and in this world, man. That's why when you look at just look at tiny things. I want you to look at all the news stations in Europe. I want you to look at all the news stations in South America. I want you to look at all the news stations here. Here's starting to change. It's actually starting to change. But when you look at the panels of those news stations, just the news, and I know people are so taboo about the news now because we got somebody calling fake news this, fake news that, and blah, blah, blah. I don't care what you say. But when the people see what the people see people that look white, bro. Even in Brazil has the second most African culture in the world other than the continent of Africa itself. All news reporters are white Brazilians.
So maybe there's a worldwide prejudice against darker skin tones.
It's a worldwide socialized idea that lighter skin, brighter eyes, straighter hair is the way we need to go. That's why you have so many black chicks in the hood that want blonde weave.
Yeah.
That's why you have so many black people that are like, oh man, bro, I wish I was light skinned, blah blah. That man, it's crazy to me because it's even inside, even though they may say that they don't want to be white, bro, they do a lot of things to imitate that white race. And why do you think that is? Because that white race has so much weight on almost everything. I'm not saying every white person because there are poor, poor white people in this country. Like that's just life. But the majority of white people in this country, their kids have freaking credit scores of 700 when they're born, bro. Like it is ridiculous.
I don't think that's possible.
But check it. No, I'm telling you, bro. It's little things that the family can do for things like that to set up their children with good things before their children are even adults to start life, bro. It's crazy, man. But it's something that you will start to see. I'm not saying that, that's the only way we can look at it, but from my shoes, that's how I see it. And I understand where you coming from your shoes. But I just hope that one day we can all meet at that point to where, man, I see your side and I see your side, and let's do something about it so that we can ride off into the sunset together.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Make it more equal for all of the opportunities for everyone.
Everybody. I don't care, man. This is not.
That's what I think is the end goal. And
at the
end, equal opportunity for everyone.
For everyone.
Not equal outcome.
This equal opportunity, man.
Yeah,
not equal outcome.
You get the same chance.
No, heck no. Heck no.
Exactly.
You're not going to get something that I worked my butt off to get.
Exactly. We should strive for everyone getting the same chances to achieve the same things.
Everybody gets the same tools to create their Garden of Eden. Whether you planted it the right way, whether you sowed the right way, is on you. But we all need the right tools and the same tools, no matter where we live, no matter what color we are. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. But it took me a while to get there. But
I feel like that's a good note to end on.
Oh yeah, that's it, man.
Thanks for coming on the show.
You already know, brother. Peace.